Hey guys, welcome back. October is finally here. What better way to kick off October than by reviewing Saw X or Saw 10? Are there 10 Saw movies? Is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 7 Jigsaw? But that's beside the point. The point is that I really feel that Saw X really put the teeth back in this franchise. So it is awesome to see Tobin Bell return as the iconic character John Kramer, and well, Saw X actually isn't something that happens after Jigsaw. If you got the information from the trailer, this is a movie that actually happens between Saw 1 and Saw 2, so it is a midquel. It happens after Saw 1, the events of Saw 1, but before the events of Saw 2. So it's an in-between quel, which is actually great to know because it fills in a lot of gaps that we didn't know or didn't see in between that timeline. The plot of this movie in a nutshell is that after John Kramer has found out that he has stage 4 brain cancer or tumor, whichever one you want to look way you want to say it, he finds out about this miracle cure that happens in the country Mexico, and he decides to take his chances with it so that he could be healed and continue doing his work as Jigsaw, only later to find out that he was scammed by these people and they didn't heal him at all. All they did was just take his money. And when I found out that these people just scammed John Kramer, I was like, holy shit! These people are in for it now. This was such an interesting take on a Saw movie. Honestly, I really loved it. It didn't start off as like your usual Saw movie. It actually gave us some background first before we actually got into the usual torture scenes and that we usually get from a Saw movie. It didn't just have the victims waking up like after being drugged and they're in a trap. I mean, honestly, I think this movie was better than 3. My top 4 Saw movies now are, of course, Saw 1, then 2, then it would be this one, Saw X, then Saw 3, and then Jigsaw. Everything else, in my opinion, was just torture porn that was probably looked like it was directed by Eli Roth. What made this movie so interesting is that they treat John Kramer as the protagonist. Usually, of course, he's treated as the antagonist of the film, whether he's there in person or you're seeing him in flashbacks, even though, me personally, I've never seen John Kramer as a villain, though I've never really seen him as the good guy either, of course. He's definitely not a good guy. He's torturing people, of course. But what made it interesting is that I felt the sense that this was like a personal vendetta to him, even though John Kramer doesn't use things like takes vengeance into his morality, but it felt personal. I mean, we're not just getting like, Billy popping up on a TV screen. You hear his voice and he's telling you what these test subjects what to do and or what's going to happen when if they fail. He is personally there watching these people go through these tests. I mean, we get, of course, the usual tape recorder thing that we get in some of these Saw movies, especially in the group traps when there's multiple people involved. But the fact that he is actually there shows how personal this is to him. And it was nice to see that take in this Saw movie. We've seen things where it gets personal in Saw, but not this personal. So John Kramer is there watching these victims be tested. Let's actually talk about that. The traps that these people have to go through. They're what you would usually see in a Saw movie. Someone going through excruciating pain and bleeding a lot because, they got to go through that to set themselves free or to, realize the value of their life. Even though some of the things they do is very unrealistic, I really liked the fact that they kind of dialed down a little bit on the gore factor. I mean, yes, there was still a lot of blood, but they kind of dialed down on that a little bit, and it was nice because using too much blood like they did in a lot of the other movies just made it look kind of stupid and funny. And also, I don't want to spoil anything because this is supposed to be a spoiler-free review. But I will say that one scene I really liked, it actually involved Amanda. I mean, this was the first time I ever seen this, but I mean, she actually was showing sympathy for one of the victims because they were a lot like her. I mean, the only one I've ever seen her show that kind of sympathy to is John. But I mean, to see Amanda actually show sympathy because she sees one of the victims was like her when she got tested, that was an interesting take as well. The other thing I like to get into, of course, is the ending. I mean, the ending of Saw movies, even though one of them are usually they're bad, they usually kind of throw you for a loop. If you've seen the Saw franchise, or if you haven't seen them, that's one thing Saw has always been good at, is just throwing you a curveball at the very, very end, like in the last 5 or 10 minutes of the movie. They'll just throw you a curveball out of nowhere. You're not expecting. But I mean, this curveball really got me. I mean, I was expecting some weird, of course, like a Saw ending like that, but I was not expecting it to happen like the way it did. Because, I mean, John Kramer's a character that you see always thinking like 3 steps ahead of everybody. No matter what happens, he's always got plans under the main plan. So just in case the main plan don't work, he's got some other plan that's going to make sure that everything goes the way he plans in case somebody doesn't do what he wants to do or play by his rules. So, I mean, if you see this movie, I mean, this curveball just, like, really gets you out of nowhere. Even if you are a fan of the Saw franchise and you're a big fan. Though, I mean, I'm not an insane fan, but this curveball really just comes out of nowhere. So, just giving you guys a heads up on that. Overall, I'm going to give Saw X an A-. A very good new entry to the Saw franchise. I mean, it's got its fillers here and there. I mean, it makes you ask some questions like, what about this? What about that? And also, it's not going to top James Wan's first ever Saw movie that he made back in 2004. But still, definitely one of the better Saw movies. Definitely up in the top 3, without a doubt. Alright, so Saw X. If you guys have seen it, please comment here down below what your thoughts were on the movie. Also, if you like my other videos, don't forget to like and subscribe. I'll see you guys next time!